Tom Evans had only been the route's new mailman for a few weeks, but that morning, something on Maple Street made him stop his truck dead in the road. A Victorian house squatted behind an iron fence, but where the front path should have been were boxes, hundreds of them, stacked to the porch roof like a cardboard wall. The delivery tags fluttered in the wind as if the house itself were still ordering things it would never open. Tom stepped out, pulled his cap down against the cold, and felt the small, sharp, impossible question prick him. Who ordered all this? And why had nobody ever come to get it? Maple Street was the kind of place where people knew each other's dogs and borrowed sugar. Neighbors peered out from curtains, and Mrs. Patel, 2 doors down, remembered the house before the owner went quiet. He was eccentric, kept to himself, she told Tom, voice low. Deliveries had been reported for years, she said, a monthly rhythm of boxes showing up with the same stamped address and no one to sign. Tom, being new and curious, did what any conscientious postal worker would do. He flagged it with the inspector. The inspector ran the address through the system and frowned. There were dozens of active subscriptions still billed and being packaged. Nothing in the database marked the property vacant. When the word welfare check went out over the radio, Tom felt an uneasy knot tighten in his chest. Welfare checks don't usually involve mountains of parcels. Officers arrived mid-afternoon with flashlights and a locksmith. The porch was impassable. Boxes had become a barricade. Neighbors watched from behind hedges as police pried a rear window open and slipped into the house. The first step was quiet in a place that felt frozen in time. Years of mail, pristine and unopened, lay in neat columns, as if someone had planned to return at any moment. White cloths draped every piece of furniture, a heavy formal ghosting that made the rooms look like a museum of absence. The lights worked. The heat hummed softly. It was not abandonment by neglect. Whatever had happened here was deliberate. A house frozen under a legal thumb rather than rotted away. They moved through rooms with practiced care. A study held a battered desk. An upstairs bedroom had a row of tiny bowls lined up on a sideboard. Each bowl was clean and oddly fresh, a small, intimate altar. In the kitchen, unopened cans of cat food sat on the counter, stacked like little coins. The police radio crackled. "We've got something here, possible estate documents." An officer opened a drawer and found a sheaf of papers, yellowed at the edges, yet folded with care. He unfolded the top sheet, and his voice changed in a way that made everyone stop and listen. "It's a will." The will belonged to Walter Pritchard, a retired millionaire and the town's beloved oddball who had died a decade earlier. His handwriting, looping and meticulous, named heirs for houses in cash. But one clause stopped the room cold. He bequeathed his home and a substantial trust fund to the care, comfort, and preservation of my 20 cats. The clause read like a private joke turned legal instruction. Cats as beneficiaries, a trust manager appointed to distribute funds for pet care, a list of names for the feline heirs. There was even a stipulation that deliveries of food, litter, and supplies should continue automatically for as long as the trust required. But legality collided with reality. A person had contested the will, a distant relative who claimed ownership, and the court had frozen the estate pending litigation. The judge's order sealed the property. No one was legally allowed to enter, change, or remove anything while the dispute played out. The trust manager, appointed to administer the cat's care, should have canceled subscriptions or arranged delivery redirection, but records, as officers discovered in the kitchen, showed he had failed to do so. The subscriptions remained active, shipments continued, boxes kept arriving month after month, piling higher and higher against the Victorian facade until the porch became a monument to paperwork and forgetfulness. There was a strange, almost tender logic to the scene. The bowls upstairs suggested someone, or something, had been cared for even after the house was legally sealed. Volunteers and neighbors later explained the story that had been whispered for years. When the legal freeze started, animal rescue groups attempted to rehome the cats but encountered court restrictions. In some months, compassionate delivery drivers left packages in the safest spots they could find rather than return them. The trust manager's omission, whether negligence or simple human error, had turned a once respectful legal process into a slow-motion absurdity. Once the will and court orders were understood, the welfare of the animals became the town's immediate concern. Animal control and local shelters coordinated with the surviving executors and legal representatives. The 20 cats, many elderly, were gently removed, examined, and rehomed or placed in medically supervised care. The trust fund did exist, and through emergency court action, the judge authorized limited access to fund immediate pet care. The packages, though, had become another kind of evidence. Receipts, subscription labels, and delivery logs that painted a picture of institutional oversight gone astray. There was embarrassment and anger in the weeks that followed. The trust manager faced scrutiny for failing to monitor the automated systems he'd been paid to manage. The company that processed the subscriptions updated its procedures and apologized publicly for not flagging a dormant account tied to a sealed property. Neighbors, once merely curious, organized a fundraiser to establish a small local fund to assist with pet emergencies when legal processes stalled. Tom, who had first rung the alarm, found himself quietly hailed by some as the person who noticed what everyone else assumed was normal. He brushed off the praise, but later, standing on Maple Street as volunteers cleared the cardboard barricade, he allowed a small smile. The story rippled online, of course. People were drawn to the oddity of cats inheriting wealth and to the melancholy image of unopened boxes stacking up like seasons. Reporters called it a legal limbo turned mail hoard, but for the town, the tale was about neighbors and responsibility. It was about how systems, legal, corporate, social, can lapse when attention drifts. It was about the small, stubborn ways we try to look after other beings, even when institutions fail. In the end, the house was opened formally, cleaned, and eventually sold. The trust was restructured with clearer oversight. Some of the cats found new homes, some lived their appointed days in sanctuaries funded by the trust, and many of the packages were donated to community centers and pet shelters. Tom kept on with his route, and every time he passed that Victorian house, he checked the mailbox, out of habit, out of memory, out of a new, quieter knowledge that vigilance in small things can change lives. He had started as a mail carrier, and in noticing what others did not, became a small kind of guardian, not because he wanted recognition, but because someone had to notice when the world kept sending gifts to the unseen. Light the lantern. Join the journey. Subscribe.